Heidi-ho everybody, and welcome to the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad in Wyoming. Today is September 3rd, 2022. This is Layout Update number 34. I'm Mark Pruitt, Casper Division Public Relations Manager. I got a lot done in the last month. Felt kinda good after taking it easy in July. Let's take a look. Here's where I left off in the last update video, with this scruffy looking start on the prairie just west of Casper. The first thing I did was to thicken up the grass in this area. There are still bald spots, that's realistic, but it's not nearly as sparse as it started out. And that was it for scenery application in the area until the very end of the month, but I did order quite a bit of new scenery materials from Woodland Scenics early in the month. On the 8th of August, all that stuff showed up. The post office did a real number on the package. It looked like one of their trucks ran over the thing during transit. The box was actually ripped open, but amazingly everything was still inside when it was delivered. Fortunately, it was almost all baggies of static grass, so nothing was damaged. Great job, post office. I set the box aside for several weeks, as I was now working on the Worland/Grable Peninsula. First, I detailed out the design of the new peninsula benchwork in CAD rail. On the 5th of August, I picked up 2 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood. I didn't go with the oak veneer because it was still about $95 a sheet. Instead, I decided to try plain old BC plywood at about $56. I also picked up 2 sheets of 1/2 inch plywood for subroad bed. I cut the 3/4 inch plywood into 3 inch by 8 foot strips and began assembling the benchwork. Over a period of about 3 days, from August 8th to the 10th, the new peninsula took form from the raw materials. As I was building the benchwork, I also started construction of the first of a batch of 4 Intermountain Railway Company tank car kits I picked up at the club. These were special run cars produced for the Rocky Mountain region of the NMRA about 20 years ago. Here, the first of these kits is under construction. I've just added a long, folded over length of thick solder to the bottom of the tank using adhesive caulk. The solder is for weight. On the 11th, this first car was complete and weathered, and I placed it on the layout. Looks like some careless refinery employee missed the loading hatch and spilled oil down the side. Good thing the environmental rules were so lax back in the 1940s. Once I had the Worland Grable benchwork in place, I started laying out the Kodi branch subroad bed that will carry the track under Worland and Grable through here. It was all detailed out on my track plan, but when it comes time to start construction, a physical layout is a necessity. The larger curve near the camera will be the visible curve between Worland and Grable. The inner curve is part of the hidden Kodi branch. Here's the partially laid out Kodi branch subroad bed from the opposite end of the peninsula. I had the branch laid out to my satisfaction by the 15th, so I started elevating the subroad bed and securing it in place with risers. By the end of the day on the 16th, I had the subroad bed under Worland and through the turnback curve permanently fixed in place. The line descends on a 2.3% grade all through this area. The addition of the Worland Grable Peninsula has filled up the last large open area in the train room. I'm going to have to start finding new places to put construction materials. Now it was time to make some more roadbed. I dug out my roll of 1/8 inch cork and cut out a small pile of 5/8 inch strips. On the 17th, I glued the new roadbed onto the plywood. On the 18th, I laid track on the Kodi branch using my usual adhesive caulk and soda can method. On the 19th, I wired in the new track and also installed provisions for the Worland and Grable track wiring that will come later. The Kodi branch will be on the same power booster that will supply the C&W trackage from Showbond to Lander, though I may put the two lines on separate circuit breakers. Then I ran a locomotive over the new track to test everything out. With the Kodi trackage installed and tested, I started working on the remaining 3 tank car kits. Here I've installed the handrails, added solder for weight, and assembled the car bottom into the tank body. The 2 black cars are for standard petroleum service, while the orange tank is a molasses car. I'll need several more of the molasses cars to service Holly Sugar and Worland, but at least I have a start on that fleet now. I worked on the cars in between working on the new peninsula, and by the 30th, all the Intermountain tank car kits were complete and on the layout. These are great kits and only moderately difficult to build. I hope I can find more of these, especially the molasses cars. With the Kodi branch hidden trackage installed and the tank car assembly underway, I started building the Worland Subroad Bed. Construction took several days, but by the end of the 24th, the Worland Subroad Bed was complete except for the base for Holly Sugar and Crown Cork and Seal. Holly Sugar will be tucked back into the corner, and Crown Cork and Seal will be in the turnback curve. Once the tank cars were complete, I spent a few hours over the last couple of days working on the prairie west of Casper again. Remember that from the beginning of this video? I extended the grasses a bit further around the mainline curve, then started adding the next layer of scenery in the area, small shrubs, weeds, and low sagebrush. There's still more work to be done, but it's coming along. The time of year is late June to early July, so I'm shooting for something where the grass is just a little bit less green than in this late May picture of the area. On the last day of the month, I laid the mainline roadbed through Worland and into the turnback curve. On September 1st, I laid just a bit of track at the east end of Worland near the sugar refinery. The switch you see here is a lead-in to the refinery trackage. I had to stop with track laying at this point because I need to build another Code 83 left-hand turnout for the Worland passing siding. That's under construction today. One other notable event took place in the month. On August 22nd, Kurt, the guy who occasionally helps me out on the layout, and I went to Basin for an operating session on Dave's layout. We had a great time, even though the drive is a bit long. It's just over 3 hours. I just hope someday my layout will look as good and operate as well as Dave's does. So that's where we are now. August was a very productive month. I hope September is as well. I'm going to continue building turnouts for Worland and installing trackage there. I'm also going to continue on the prairie scene west of Casper and into Powder River. I may put together a few more freight cars, or I might start on another structure. Then there's the modifications to Casper Yard that I've been planning since the June operating session, and I'd also like to detail out more of the scene around Rocky Mountain drilling so I can begin track work into Douglas. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you next month.